Hi, this is Susan from the Pattern Place. This weekend in Australia we had our Heartfelt Stampin' event. It was held in Brisbane on November the 17th, so living on the sunny Gold Coast, it was just a short drive up to Brisbane for me. And I spent the Saturday listening to some very inspirational people and playing in their product playground, so getting hands-on with a lot of products and seeing them demonstrated as well. We were encouraged to make a Christmas ornament for the Stampin' Up Christmas tree, and once we had done that, we were presented with the Heart of Christmas stamp to take home and play with. We were also given the Clockworks stamp set to take home, as well as some make and take sets. So we got this one and this one and this, and the idea was that you sat at the make and take tables and did those as part of the event. I just ran out of time, so they came home with me to work on here at my work table. So I've got the Heart of Christmas stamp and the Clockworks here with me as well, but we also got to play with the Ornament Keepsakes stamp set and the matching framelit dies. So we got to play with that, which I thought was really good. And we also got to play with the Sensational Season and the matching framelit dies as well. Now this is one I don't have, so it was really good for me to be able to get hands on and play with those. So I came home with a whole lot of samples, and I thought, well, rather than just put these away, I'm going to challenge myself to make Christmas cards using the samples that I had made in the product playground at the Heartfelt event. So I'm going to show you what I made. Now I tried to keep things really simple. This is my first card. I tried to stick with the two colours, the red and the green, and the two colours of stamp pads as well, the Wild Wasabi and the Cherry Cobbler. I used a few of my punches, which I'll show you along the way, and the only other thing I used, apart from I used the Heart of Christmas that they gave us, the Clockwork set that they gave us, and I used the Teeny Tiny Sentiment Merry Christmas. So that's the only other one I pulled out. So this was the first card I made. We made the Christmas decoration using the Ornament Keepsakes. And this was the negative that I was left with after cutting out my ornament shape. So I put that in my carry bag to bring home. And what I've done is I've stamped the background here in the green using this stamp here from Clockwork. So although it's not a Christmassy set, it's amazing how you can make it look Christmassy by the context that you put it in. So this is the Argyle here, and the red Cherry Cobbler is the stamp next to it. So I stamped that, put my red card over the top, some glue around the edge and dazzling diamonds. This seam binding here that I've used to cover the join between the red and the green was actually the ribbon that was tied around here when we were given this. So I took that off and reused it. And then I've stamped Merry Christmas using the stamp here. On the inside I've carried the theme through, and I've used the stamp on the inside as well, so that's this one from the Clockworks, and the Merry Christmas is stamped up the side. So that was my first card, so I was quite encouraged by that and kept going. So the next table that I sat down to play with, they were using the stamps from Sensational Season, and they were using dazzling diamonds, the heat and stick powder, the scented embossing powders, and the metallic pewter embossing powder as well. So I got to play with all of those using the Gingerbread stamp from the stamp set. So this is the spiced smelling embossing powder, which still smells divine. This is the heat and stick with dazzling diamonds, and then this is the pewter metallic embossing powder. Now this is one I don't have, but that's in my next order for sure. So I cut them out of the sample cards when I got home. I used the labels punch, or the tag punch, I'm sorry, to cut them out. And I also cut out a corresponding one in green for each. Then I used the Heart of Christmas stamp for my sentiment on the bottom there, so I used that one. I used a little bit of the labels, this label punch here, so I just cut the sides off that one and popped it out of the edge here, just to add a little bit of interest, and then some twine through the top. So that was that card. I'm really pleased with that one as well. I've done a little bit of sponging around here also, just to break up the whiteness of the cardstock. So I made a smaller rectangular mask and then sponged cherry cobbler around the edge. And the brown that you see here is Early Espresso, which I've just sponged around my edges in Early Espresso, and I've done that on most of the cards. So the next one we got to do was using the Christmas stamp. This is the Christmas tree from Sensational Seasons. We stamped this in Versamark, then in the green stamp pad, and then onto the card. We put heat and stick on and used the heat gun. And then we put dazzling diamonds and used the heat gun again. So that's given me the tree with some glitter. So that was really nice. This is the same stamp, just stamped in the plain green from the stamp pad, and then cut out using the framelit die. So I put 3 together there, a little bit of bling from my stash, which I just couldn't resist. And then this stamp here, again, has come from the Clockworks. So it was this one here, and then the little teeny tiny Merry Christmas on the front. And then on the inside I've just repeated that stamp in the corner to carry the theme through. So that was my next one, and this is up on dimensionals, by the way, and the red has been sponged with the Early Espresso as well. Then, still staying with the Sensational Season, still at the same table, I got to play with the other new ink colours. So I stamped these 3, one each in the new colours. I used some designer series paper that I had at home already. My teeny tiny Merry Christmas. I've put these guys up on dimensionals so that they stand up from the card for some extra texture and dimension. And then on the inside I've just put another little square of the designer series paper so that it lines up with what's on the front, just to carry the theme through again. A little bit of sponging in Early Espresso. Really quick and simple card, but I'm again very happy with the way that one turned out. Moving along, this is my favourite one so far. This is the mugs from Sensational Season, cut out using the matching framelit. This is the Heart of Christmas stamp. I've got some white cardstock here, sponged with the Early Espresso, but around the border I've done some stamping off the edge using again this stamp here, and I did that all the way around, stamping off the edge. Then I put this white piece down. My mugs are up on dimensionals. This is the Heart of Christmas set, which I first stamped some green on a piece of scrap cardstock, so I used this stamp in green, and then when that was dry I came over the top with the Heart of Christmas, cut that out and sponged some Early Espresso and doubled up my twine here so it was a bit chunkier. And I've carried the theme through on the inside as well by stamping off the edge around the inside. So I'm really pleased with that. Lovely soft card, Christmassy here, but you could equally use this idea for other times of the year, just change out the sentiments. So nice winter, maybe skiing card. I had a couple of little gingerbread men left over, and I also had the negative from when I was cutting all these guys out of the white cardstock. So I put that in my carry bag to bring home as well. So this is it here. And I used that as a stencil to make the background on this card. So I've just used some blue painter's tape here to mask off the areas that I didn't want to sponge over. And then I used that as my stencil. So I just put that down in place and then sponged through there. And then I moved it and went all over the background like that, using again just the 2 colours, Wild Wasabi and cherry cobbler. So that's how I did the background, a little bit of sponging around the edge with the early espresso. Heart of Christmas stamp again. And this is the label punch. Once more, where I've just cut the top and bottom to have it peeking. I changed the buttons to little hearts with a red gel pen on both of these guys, just for something a bit different. And then once again, carrying the theme through, I sponged 2 of the Christmas trees off the edge on the inside. So that was one of the tables we got to sit down at was didn't have any stamps on it. It had a big shot and it had a whole lot of bottle caps. And we were running the new bottle caps through the big shot and flattening them. So if I hold this up, you get a lovely trim, a lovely scallop edge around them when you run them through your big shot. So this is a 1-inch circle punch, and then you get smaller circles in here. This is a quarter of the doily die that we have, Stampin' Up has, and once again the Heart of Christmas stamp at the bottom. But I really love the way this has turned out. Little sliver of green cardstock for the string, and the little bow is just this teeny tiny punch here where I've punched it out and then cut 2 of the petals off and left 2 remaining, and that acts as the little bow. So that was really sweet. And then on the inside I came back to this stamp set and used this gear and this one here, which again not very Christmassy when you look at it on the stamp set here, but I used those 2 stamps as Christmas ornaments. So I stamped them here in green and then used my red pen to decorate them up and make them look Christmassy. So that's just the inside of that card, and I think that's my favourite one. So those are the cards I made. I was really inspired to have a go and see what I could make out of my samples. That's my dog. I think the postman's at the door. So this is everything I made, and I've still got another set to go. These are the ornaments that we were first playing with, the ornamental keepsakes, where instead of using the stamp pads we used the marker pens to colour the stamps with and then stamp with them. So I must admit I don't own a lot of markers at the moment, but having played with this technique, I am certainly going to go ahead and buy the whole set, because these are sensational. The way you can get the mix of colours like that is just gorgeous. And so I just think that's so beautiful. So I've got these 3 images still to play with, so there is at least another 3 cards that I can get out of my sample pack. So if you get the opportunity to attend a heartfelt stamping event in your area, I really recommend it. This is Susan from the Pattern Place.